Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Secrets. I'm your host Mohammed Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia, and the co-author of New Success Secrets available on Amazon. On this episode, we have a special guest, Heather R. Younger. Heather is the founder of Employee Fanatix. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Heather R. Younger. Heather, welcome.
Hello there. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to start the Employee Fanatix?
I was inspired by people. I was in a company, and there was a big merger of companies, and the culture was going downhill. Nobody was paying attention to what the employees needed, and it was the employees and their voices of concern, voices of fear, doubt, all those things that drove me to realize I needed to be the voice for the employee. So the work we do at Employee Fanatix is to help organizations create listening cultures where their employees do feel heard, valued, and respected.
And how much you are successful in that so far?
We've done very well. I mean, again, when we keep focused on the thing that's, for me, it's the thing I'm called to do, and I just bring a whole bunch of people around me who feel called to do the same work. And so, in that regard, I think it's doing quite well.
Wonderful. When you say culture of listening, it's easier said than done. And how you get the big corporations to start listening to you at the first place. Hey, they need this.
Most of my, I guess, brand identity, I established on LinkedIn. So we're right here, and this is where I started. Social media is still a big part of my marketing strategy. And so people see me out there. Most of my business comes from referrals, believe it or not. And it's usually from people who either know me through LinkedIn or know me personally just in my regular life. And so they refer because they see the work I do. So I think because the voice is loud and it either comes from a trust source that they trust, it makes it easier for them to accept my message, and then they realize there's a need, and then we help fill it.
Wonderful. So while your clients are in the process of adapting the culture of listening through Employee Fanatix, what are the top 3 missteps to avoid so that they implement it right? What are the top 3 mistakes they do?
Well, the biggest thing is they assume they're listening, but they're not really listening. So, for example, let's say they do a survey. They do a survey, and then the results of that survey just sit on a shelf somewhere. And they actually don't ever do anything. They don't even look at them. Most of them don't look. And if they do look, the second thing they do is if they do look at them, they are too afraid to move, and so they don't take any action. That would be the second misstep. So that the first would be not really listening when you think you are from an organizational view, or atop the organization. There's obviously all types of listening when it comes to leaders and their team members and coworkers and all different types of listening. But I'm talking about organizational listening above the organization. And I would say the third thing would be that they don't communicate back to their people the actions they're taking based upon the voices and the words that they've heard. What often happens is employees, they think that they take a survey, they do a focus group, a round table, a coffee, something like that. They may see some changes happening, but they're not sure that what they've told their leaders is the reason behind the changes. And so that number 3 misstep is not connecting the dots for their people back to that main voice.
That's the third one, the really big one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah, it is. It ties it up like a neat little package when you connect the dots.
Yeah. So you have been working with so many clients on this one, and I want you to share some failure of your not helping them to. What's your single most professional failure you like to share with us while you're helping a client to implement this culture of listening? What did you learn from that, and how did you recover from it?
Failure from that. I have to say that I wouldn't say I've ever actually done a failure when it comes to working with a client. I would say the biggest thing would be taking too long to grow the business or to expand my business. So I think if we would look at it from a failure perspective, it would be making me be the center of everything when it came to the business was probably the thing I realized that I should have stopped much early on. And so I decided to start expanding and hiring employees and bringing in more of a team. Actually, last year in 2020, I decided to just loosen things up. And so I just learned that it can't just be centered on me, that it has to be a team focus. And that I can't be the only one doing everything. And so expanding the team to ask for help is a big one.
That's good. That's a great. Many can relate to this, and they probably can start learning a little bit. So
Yep.
So while creating a culture of listening at a client, what are the top three success secrets that make sure they implement it right and they actually create a result would be they create a culture of listening. Great work.
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of the flip side of what I said earlier when you were asking about the three things that they should stay away from. And really the three things that they need to do is they actually need to listen. And when they listen, they need to really pay attention to what the words are saying. And after they've done that, they need to commit to some kind of action. They need to commit to action before they start. I mean, maybe let's back ourselves up. We need to commit to action before they start. And I see often that organizations will listen. I had one client that was getting a particular recognition for getting a score after listening, but never actually looked at the results of after listening. They didn't really see what the employees were saying. They weren't reading the comments. And so we help dig deep into the comments, the open-ended responses, and help them boil up some really important themes. And so, those are the things that they need to do, is to make sure they listen, make sure they're committing to action. And like I said before, make sure they're communicating very consistently to all those involved, how their voices really do make a difference in the organization.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So let's talk about your Employee Fanatix. So who is your ideal client for Employee Fanatix?
Well, I mean, I think first it's an organization that wants to change. So they realize that there's a hole or gap that they're leaving for their employees, and they know that they have to do something about it. So those would be probably my most ideal clients. The ones that I tend to work with are kind of medium-sized organizations, and they might even have the traditional structure, kind of the traditional hierarchy, with the senior leadership team on the high floors and everybody else working in the factory or everybody else in the baseline, right? Like it may be that type of organization. And the reason why I think that's important to even have that is I work really hard to help them reach through their organization to the foundation, to the front line of their team, the ones who are driving the business forward, grab those voices, pull it back up and throughout the entire organization. And so when we do that at Employee Fanatix, it really does help to change how people feel about the work they're doing and how they feel about the leaders that are in the organization. So
great. So check out the EmployeeFanatix.com. If you're just listening, and EmployeeFanatix.com. Check out that. It's a great website, and there's a place reimagine the future of remote work and employee engagement. There's a little, I think there is a PDF. You can put your name and email and say download now, download and learn something and start the culture of listening, because without listening, you can't really engage other people with you yourself at all, especially in this new reimagining because we are not close to each other right now. So as we are about to wrap up, Heather, what would you say to your best friend about a growth hacking show where you are on right now, like a testimony or review for the show as a guest?
Oh, as a review?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think what I like about it is it's not necessarily what you think it is. So it's looking at success from a much more global view, and it's not necessarily how did you build your business from this many employees, and how much revenue do you have? It wasn't really focused that way. So I think that the biggest thing is knowing that it's not what you think it is. That's a more global view, a global conversation, and helping you learn and grow in lots of different areas of your life.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for your kind words. Really appreciate it. What would you say as a final word?
I just say in 2021, let's all commit to listening more effectively. Let's listen more deeply. Let's meet people where they're at. Let's sit in with them in silence if we need to really understand what people are going through, so we can meet their particular needs, and that we're not trying to create a cookie cutter approach to how we interact with people. That's what I would say.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Heather R. Younger, the founder of Employee Fanatix, for sharing your wisdom with us today on the behalf of Growth Hacking Secrets community and our entire team. We really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia. Until the next episode, all good wishes.